Finding our identity in God's grace alone, we will see God's kingdom expand across the globe as we love people well and serve our spheres of influence. We will lead God's people to a flourishing life as we help them build healthy relationships and grow in awareness of how they can walk out all the unique gifts and talents they have in Christ. We will impact every city we are in by meeting everyone where they are with God's tangible love, with innovation and creativity, always pointing to Christ as the author of our faith story. We as the collective have the opportunity to come together in unity and love well, because our God and Creator loves us well. We can be generous because He is generous with us, and we can dream big because our God is able, through His mighty power at work within us, to accomplish infinitely more than we might ask or think. We as the church have been created and called for a purpose, and today we can embrace our place and fulfill that purpose. We are the collective, and we are united under one name and for one cause: Jesus.
Well, hello TC family. Welcome back to our Sunday service. I'm so happy and excited to be welcoming all of you today. Now, if you're new here at The Collective, I want to extend a very special warm welcome to you, and also draw your attention to a QR code that's going to appear in the screen or slide into the screen, and you can scan this QR code and this will lead you into a form that will let us get to know you a lot better. But if you've missed that QR code, don't worry, because we have Zoom lobby hangout after every single service. This is a great place for us to just get to know each other. Now, if you want to get plugged in even more in the community, we have connect groups happening throughout the week. They are online connect groups, and you can find the full schedule in our website. Now, if you're watching from Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, I want to encourage you to head over to our church online platform. Why? Because we have a live prayer button ready for you, and we also have a team ready to pray together with you. Now, if you're a parent of a little one, Young has a YouTube channel that has a few different contents happening throughout the week and also lessons every single Sunday. This will be a great activity for your little one, so you don't want to miss out. You make sure to subscribe. Also, teens, or if you're a parent of a teen, we have TC Youth Service every single Sunday at 11:30 a.m. and you also don't want to miss out on that. And that is it for me, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on our social media, and I'll see you after the service.
And kingdoms will bow down. Every chain will break as broken hearts declare His praise. For who can stop the Lord Almighty? And our God is the Lion of Judah. He is roaring with power and fighting our battles. Every knee will bow before Him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks His chain, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Every knee will bow before Him. Open up the gates, make way before the King of Kings. Oh, oh, oh. The God who comes to save is here to set the captives free. For who can stop the Lord Almighty? Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles, and can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? And who can stop the Lord? Sing it in your battle. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord? Our God is a lion, the Lion of Judah is roaring with power and fighting our battles, and every knee will bow before Him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow for the Lion and the Lamb. Every knee will bow before Him. Every knee will bow. I count it all as loss, for you have rescued me. You meet me where I am. Your grace is all I need. You take me as your own. I find where I belong.
Wherever you may go, I'll follow you. For me to live is Christ, everything is new. In you I found my home, no turning back.
Ground is shaking, the world will never. My world is shattered. Your love keeps chasing me.
You are enough for me. You never leave me. Forever I am loved. Whatever storm may come, I'll follow you. In depths and the unknown, I run into your voice. In you I found my home, no turning back. Wherever you may go, I'll follow you. For me to live is Christ, everything is you. In you I found my home, no turning back. Oh, no turning back. Oh, in you I found my home. In you I found my home. Oh, I put my trust in you. Nothing can stop me from trusting you, Lord. Nothing compares of my life, I trust in you, Lord. You are my hope. You are my strength.
Well, hello, all of you beautiful people, wherever you are. TC fam, hello and welcome back. And to any of you who may be brand new with us today, we're so glad that you're joining us. My name's Janae, and my husband and I get to lead this incredibly amazing community called The Collective. Now, we're coming off of last Sunday, which was our Vision Sunday. It's actually one of my favorite Sundays of the whole year. It's the time that we get to come together as a family and really look ahead and forward into what we believe God is bringing us into in 2021. Now, everything that we've been able to do and will continue to do is because of the generous hearts of the people that call The Collective home. So what we always love is to open up an opportunity for any of you who feel led to give. If you go down to the link below, it's just gonna lead you to a page that's gonna give you all the different ways that you can give, whatever's the most convenient for you. What we want you to know is we're so glad that we get to do this together, that you are part of something so much bigger, and we believe better days are ahead. We hope you enjoy the service.
Hey TC family, happy Sunday. It has been great going through the series all about vision with you. And my hope is that as you have been participating in this vision series, you understand that vision isn't meant to be compartmentalized, but vision is principle. Vision is the overarching value in how we live. It's the vision that is the macro that dictates the micro. And those micros are the different areas in our life that we're called to submit to God's vision. Areas like marriage, as you heard earlier in the series. Areas like our finances. Who knows that we're just not supposed to spend money, but we're supposed to have vision for our money. We talked about on Vision Sunday all about God's greater vision and greater heart for His church. And today we're going to talk about vision for you in your sphere of influence, in your vocation. So we believe that God has gifted all of us and called all of us to something bigger than we could ever even think or ask for. The fact of the matter is I believe that if vision doesn't scare you, then it's just not big enough. If vision doesn't arouse doubters, then it may not be extreme enough. We don't want to be people that look for a small vision that is neat and tidy that fit in a box, but we want to be people that strive for a great vision. Sometimes a vision that is beyond even our comprehension, but a vision we step forward to in faith, believing in God's best for us in our sphere. You know, this, as we introduce this, I have a special guest that's going to be on the stage in just a minute, and I can't wait for you guys to hear her heart about God's vision for you in your vocation. But first, I want to look at just a short story of a businessman, a tax collector named Zacchaeus. It says in Luke 19, in this story of this man Zacchaeus, that Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree so he could see him. I want to stop right there for a second because I don't want you to fast forward through this powerful section of scripture. You have this businessman named Zacchaeus. It says that he was very wealthy. So I imagine that Zacchaeus was very accomplished. I imagine that Zacchaeus was kind of sure of himself and secure as he looked back on the wealth that he had amassed and the successes that he had tallied up in his vocation, which makes it even more almost comical, the fact that you would see this distinguished businessman, probably in Armani robes, climbing a tree to see who Jesus was. See, I see businessmen all the time. I'm friends with lots of distinguished men in business, CEOs and different founders. And the fact of the matter is I've never seen them climb trees. Oftentimes, it's in the sphere of vocation when you take yourself seriously and you take what you do seriously, whatever that sphere is, whether that's in finance or the arts, wherever you find yourself, you seem to be focused and driven. And when you're focused and driven, who has time to climb trees? But there was something so moving in this moment where this distinguished man in his profession, stopped and hit pause on his agenda, on his plan, and on what he believed his purpose was in this moment and climbed a tree so he could see Jesus. So I think it's so brilliant because what I believe it reveals for us is Zacchaeus knew that there was something more that he was missing out on. Although Zacchaeus has accumulated wealth and he was successful in his sphere, Zacchaeus knew in the deepest part of who he was that the picture wasn't complete. That there was something missing in his identity, in his heart, in his purpose, in his vision. So he climbed this tree so he could get a closer glimpse of the person of Jesus whom he believed could bring the fulfillment that his personal success had yet to been able to bring. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, "He has gone to be in the house of sinners." And I love it, how usually the only people that talk trash about Jesus doing something awesome are religious people. Remember that. If you feel like talking trash, you might be too religious. Hashtag don't be a hater. But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. If I've cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount." And then Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost." I'm going to look at you right now and I'm going to tell you why we're talking about vision in your vocation. Because the truth of the matter is that a lot of us, a lot of you are in a great vocation, finding some sources of success, some feelings of affirmation. But the truth of the matter is you also probably feel lost. And it's only Jesus and an encounter with him that can inspire a change for you to surrender everything that you have to God's greater vision. So I want to take some time and invite a dear friend of mine and one of our team members at the Collective up to share with us her incredible heart and vision for the sphere leaders, the people in their vocation in our city, in our nation, and in our world. So Tara, thank you so much for taking time to just share with the TC family all about God's heart, God's vision, and really your hope and your vision, what you believe God is calling us to as sphere leaders in our vocation.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now you are doing tons of exciting stuff as the TCI director. And for those of you who don't know what TCI is, it's the Collective Institute, which is an incredible program. Not only do we offer short-term certificate programs, but TCI also offers degree programs that are accredited from a university in the UK. So right here in Jakarta, you can actually get either a accredited degree, a master's degree, a bachelor's degree, or you can get a short-term certificate program in leadership or biblical studies. And I love that so much. Right now, I think we're working on like a really exciting project, yeah? What's the project we're working right now for education and business leaders in our community?
So a huge focus right now is that there are 2 streams going on. There's one on theology and one on leadership development. And really our heart is to equip marketplace leaders with theological grounding, but also leadership principles that are grounded in faith, in the hopes that not only will they seek the end goal of their business motivation, but really self-development throughout the entire journey.
I love that. And we have different guest speakers, or guest lecturers, I should say, that are anywhere from teachers to CEOs to business founders that are coming in all week to share and record tidbits of wisdom and the lessons they've learned in years and years and years of success in their vocation. So I can't wait for the release of that. So be looking for that. Anybody who has an interest in becoming a part of the Collective Institute. So Tara, could you please share a little bit about your background? You are a Jakarta kid, but you left Jakarta quite some time ago only to come back. Could you kind of share about where you went, what you did when you left, all that sort of thing?
Absolutely. So, Pastor Alex, thank you for the opportunity. I joined the team last year, and it happened right when COVID broke out.
Yeah.
So the unfortunate thing is that not many people in the community know me, and I haven't been able to get to know as many people as I'd love to in the TC community.
If you don't know Tara, you can, we'll put her Instagram up. You can follow her, and you can DM her, and you can invite her to party with you. She's awesome.
My name is Tara Suba. By background, I'm Indonesian, Nepalese, and English. So I lived in Jakarta until I was 13, after which I moved to Vietnam, attending the British school there. So it was a continuation of my background in the British school here.
Okay.
I then went to the UK, where I did my undergraduate studies in philosophy with politics.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was quite deep. I'm quite the thinker.
Yeah.
And that was for a period of 3 years before I moved to China.
Yep.
And that was for my master's studies in international relations.
Why China and why international relations?
Gosh, yeah, that's a great question. Now looking back, what I was really drawn to was to get a grasp of what made the world run, how the world came to be.
Wow.
And I think I was drawn to philosophy because it gave me the structural foundation through which I could view the world.
Okay.
Right? It gave me the skills of critical thinking that was necessary at the time. I was very much drawn to development work, and so understanding how the world worked and understanding what issues and social challenges were pervasive at the time, I wanted to be part of the wave that addressed those issues.
Yeah.
And at the time, and still true today, I do believe China's a rising economy. It's no longer, I believe, an elective course.
Yeah.
And so if you wish to play a huge part in shaping what the world looks like in the future, I still do believe that you need that understanding of China.
Okay.
Whether it's in business, in politics, in economics. And that's why I was drawn to China, to understand the place.
Interesting.
And after a year there, I wanted to sort of solidify my understanding of, at the time, economics and development specifically.
Yeah.
So I then moved to New York, continued my master's there.
Yeah.
And served in various spheres from the private sector, the public, even nonprofit. And so it was a time of awakening, because with all these different ideas of the world and what social challenges existed, I was able to explore for myself what was available across all these different spheres.
I love that so much. So look at that journey for a second. And this is the incredible thing about how God works.
Yeah.
You went from Southeast Asia to the United Kingdom, to China, to New York.
Yeah.
And through all of that, with that focus of community development, of business and world economics.
Yes.
And I think that that's so cool, because I feel like you're able to get such a great wealth of wisdom and perspective through all that time as you pursued this education.
Yes.
Right? Now you're here, which, by the way, you guys, that was never on the horizon for Tara. Tara never thought, I'm going to go work for a church in Jakarta called The Collective.
Winning.
I'm
winning.
But what's amazing is that you saw, as you looked at economic development worldwide, you saw the church's potential ability to be a source of care and resource to help different people in their spheres grow to the best version of themselves.
Yes.
And if we really want to make a dent in this world, it's going to happen through the church. It's going to happen through God's people and his vision for us.
Yes.
Right? Because I think in that way, the bottom line kind of changes, doesn't it? So this is what I would love for you to do, because I feel like there's so many different people listening, whether you are a young entrepreneur, whether you are an artist, whether you have been in business or in your career vocation for 30, 40, 50 years, whatever it is. I think the truth is what we all have in common is God has a greater, bigger vision for all of us in all of our journeys through our vocation. Tara, when you think about the vision that God has for either a CEO, an artist starting out his own brand, what what is in your heart? Like if you could say what you really would believe for people as they get in touch with God's greater vision and greater calling in their life, in their sphere.
Love that question, Pastor Alex. And if I may, I'd like to answer this question linking back to what we were just talking about, which is when I was in New York and why I came back, because it's very much linked to my heart for this question.
Okay.
So I believe that, the majority of us, we go through life focused on an end. And I think that's the way many of us were trained to think, right? In school, without that background in faith, we're trained to accomplish and execute. And when we achieve one thing, we're then drawn to the next, or we're trained to think of the next best thing. For me, when I was in New York, it was extremely eye-opening because for the majority of my life, I had my eyes set on Wall Street. I had my eyes set on the UN. And ultimately, I was at a point where I had reached that destination. And it was a reflection of, I think, how many of us, we have these goals set in mind and we end up achieving it. But then once we're there, we ask ourselves, what more is there? What is this all about? So in my personal journey,
it's insatiable.
It's insatiable, absolutely. And you always want more. So in my personal journey, it was the question of, okay, I'm now here. I now have, quote unquote, this understanding of my specific sphere of focus, which at the time was on economic development. But what more is there? Yes, I'm successful in this professional front, but what does that say about me as a person, about who I am, about my purpose and my identity? So that for me was a reckoning. It was a period of time where I questioned, is my soul specifically, worth it? Is not tending to the soul worth worldly success?
What a great question.
Right, so now taking
Can
it back.
Can you stop right now?
Yes.
What she just said, could you repeat that? Is not tending, say it again, is not tending to the soul.
Yeah, is not tending to the soul worth worldly success.
And I'll tell you right now, I know that you're asking them that question, but I'll tell you, no, it's not. And I know that firsthand because I have the privilege of meeting with people in their sphere, in their vocation. Like I said, whether it's been 5 years or 50 years, and the fact if they aren't tending to the soul, then no matter what kind of accomplishments they have achieved, they're still sick.
Yes.
The pain resides. The heartache resides.
Yes. And that's the scary thing about it, right? It's insidious because you oftentimes don't realize until you hit the wall. And it's almost explosive. So going back to the question you asked of what vision do we have for business leaders in our city, in our world, and not even just business leaders, but people who are leaders in their vocation. I think there comes a time where we have to reconcile that we're not only aiming for the end goal, that there isn't just an end that we're trying to achieve, but it's about the means through which we achieve that end. And as people of faith, we're invited to work on the self, to transform the mind, to renew our character as we walk out our calling and as we achieve specific fruits in our sphere that not only contribute to the building of society, but to the building of our kingdom. Right? And so the vision that I would have is not only will we play a significant part in worldly success, but that becomes a byproduct of who we are as children of God. Right?
I love that.
As we come to know who we are and as we are grounded in our identity, as we come to know that our purpose is more than just for the self, but that it is corporal, right? That as part of this we, not me journey, we've got to unite and work together to achieve a common mission, which is to build God's kingdom no matter what sphere we're in. That is an incredibly, it will take you to the very end of yourself. It is the most exhausting yet most rewarding vision that one could have for their lives because there is no end to it. And it starts with the self. You could have, all the knowledge of how the world works, which is what I aspire to, right? And that is what drove me to have the undergraduate degree in philosophy and politics and then 2 masters in economics and finance and international relations. But at the end of the day, all of us, have the ability to shape whatever sphere we're in if at the very core we have a firm grasp of who we are. That is first and foremost the most important thing because everything then happens internally. If we have it in us to keep moving forward despite failure, if we have it in us to find calm and deep rest amidst storms, then we will definitely find success.
I love
because
that.
persistence, obedience, and discipline, I think, are very key values in achieving what you set your mind on. And if we as people of faith have firm values and we just persist through time, not only will we transform our characters, we will definitely bear fruit.
Yeah.
And not only worldly fruit, right? But the promise to us as children of God is that we will experience these spiritual gifts, the fruits of the Spirit of peace, love, joy.
Yeah.
These are things that will be given to us as we outwork our calling in faith.
Which is funny because usually people are searching for the peace, love, and joy in their accomplishments instead of finding the peace, love, and joy first and then accomplishing from that place.
Yes.
Right? Really, really good, Tara. I love that. So what would you say, because what you just said sounded beautiful and amazing, but from your experience in the marketplace, what would you say are the biggest obstacles that people hit in their vocation as they want to live a bigger life? They want to live a life with a greater vision, but then there's these obstacles that get in the way of them really walking out that God-given vision for their space, for their career.
Yeah, I think this is a very timely and relevant question because especially in the business world, it's very much known for its dog-eat-dog mentality. Right? It's you do anything you can and at all costs in order to succeed. And if you don't do that in your field, then you're cut. It's true for investment banking, it's true for the tech world, it's true for everything. Even as creators, if you don't produce, you're cut perhaps from the team. Now, it's extremely hard at a time where the world values quick success. And not only does it value that, but we're constantly bombarded with quick success through the media. So that's, I think, it's a psychological grip, especially with the younger generations, as media becomes more pervasive in our day-to-day life. Secondly, I think it's extremely hard to change the status quo. Right? A lot of industries nowadays still focus on the end, and there are companies now that focus on the individual, but it is never the main goal. And so when you couple, the dog-eat-dog mentality, that you sink or you swim, and sometimes it means at the expense of others. You're forced to rise or to sometimes walk away.
Well, I think what happens there is we just live in this constant place of scarcity. Where it's like the voice that's like, if they win, I can't win. Right? And if they take that share, then there won't be enough for me. Right?
It's zero sum.
Exactly, a zero sum. And I think that's such a toxic, dangerous place to live. But that's a reality. That's very real for a lot of people in a lot of business and a lot of market. Right? So I think that it takes great courage and great faith not to subject yourself or submit yourself to that toxic way of thinking and seeing.
I think, that is what I've tried to reconcile for myself is, where I stand in the midst of all this. Because on one part, we don't want to contribute to that environment. At the same time, sometimes we find ourselves needing to step into that if we want to succeed in that field. And so how I would reconcile the two is the fact that we are all called to excellence. And so no matter what field you're in, yes, we find deep rest in faith, but at the same time, we are called to become the best versions of ourselves as we could possibly be. And that could mean achieving excellence in your line of work. And I truly do believe that if you're able to perform better than your colleague at work, and you stand firm in the values that you have, you will shine in a very different way. Because not only will the people around you look into what you are doing and question, gosh, how does this person do that? At which point maybe you could spark a conversation. But you're doing so with values that invite people on in your journey. You're able to be open about your vulnerability and therefore bring people on as you overcome
Which
your
is
weaknesses
so
and you
unheard
rise.
of in the marketplace.
Extremely.
Right? To be vulnerable, to admit that you have weaknesses and issues.
Absolutely,
But what you just said is true. It's only when you do that you can actually invite people in. And where your strategy, your vision, your agenda, it isn't yours any longer, but it's something you share with others around you.
And not only that, it's also very common to perhaps help your neighbor. So if you couple excellence in your field with values that you're extremely firm in, you will shine in your sphere.
I love that.
The only thing is that it could take a lot more time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the challenge that we all face is recognizing the world's draw towards quick success.
Yeah.
But as people of faith, and we were talking about this earlier, Pastor Alex, it took Joseph over 40 years to ultimately live out his calling as someone who had influence over
a nation.
Yeah. It took Jesus. Yes, he had purpose and calling on all the days and all moments of his life, but it took him ultimately over 30 years.
Yeah, before we have the recorded.
To live out the ultimate purpose.
Yeah.
And so the encouragement I have for all of us is to not give in to the world's view of what success means and the time frame through which we're expected to achieve that success.
Yeah.
Like stand firm, be obedient, achieve excellence in faith, live into those values. And I truly do believe that God will bless the work that we do.
Yeah, I do too. And that is so powerful what you just said.
Yeah.
So let's, as we wrap up, what's the big why? Like if you're talking to a guy out there who's he's looking at you and saying, hey, this is all great ethereal these are all great ideas, right? This is beautiful. But like when rubber meets the road, right? It's like, this is real, like why? Why is it so important for a person of faith to not leave Jesus at the church building, right? And have that divide between what they do and who God has called them to be?
Oh, that's a great question. I think ultimately it comes down to the fact that there is no distinction between our vocation and our calling.
Yeah.
Right? If we take the ultimate step back and we think about why we're here in the first place, it was never to create no name for ourselves. It was never to create a company that would ultimately influence, nations. No, it was, we are created to come to know God and to partner with him to build his kingdom on earth. If we have that truth rooted in our minds, it's very hard not to then say, this life is more than just for me.
Wow.
This calling isn't just for me. It's a corporal calling, right? It's this we, not me journey. And yes, I have influence over this specific sphere because God has granted me the gifts to lead in this specific sphere. But ultimately, it's to execute excellence in his name and ultimately to build in his name.
Yeah.
But that understanding, that reckoning will only come if we go all the way back down to the very core of who we are, of why we're here, and ultimately what purpose we have in this life. And I think that's why really TC Institute is important, because if I can say one thing, we can all equip ourselves with knowledge of any specific sphere and therefore lead.
Yeah.
But in order to do so sustainably, in order to find that deep rest, that deep calm amidst all storms, it comes back all the way to who are you really as a person? Where do you find your rest? What are you doing this all for?
Yeah.
And once you have that grounding in your mind, you could really achieve excellence, I believe, in any sphere, because God can use you in any sphere, even when you don't believe that you have the strength and capability.
Yeah.
So that is, the ultimate why, I think.
And you mentioned TCI, right?
Yes.
And everything you said was so beautiful, so clear. You're such a great communicator. I love the way you articulate, right? It comes from such a richness and a passion. But what you're saying about TCI is the Collective Institute. That's what it's all about. The Collective Institute is here to serve the city to develop greater leaders in their spheres of influence, whatever sphere of influence that is. Right? So if you want more information about TCI, there's a link below, or you can comment in the chat. But Tara, thank you so much.
Thank you
for just taking the time out and sharing your heart and sharing what you see, because I do believe that you are a leader in your generation, and I do believe you have a prophetic voice of what the marketplace should look like and is going to look like as we move forward as God's people. So thank you so much for this time. You're so awesome.
Thank you, Pastor Alex.
What an incredible time to be able to hear from Tara's heart about different people as they journey their faith in their sphere of influence, in their vocation. You know, going back to that story of Zacchaeus, I think it's really amazing the language that Jesus has used when he saw the change that happened in the life of Zacchaeus. When Zacchaeus encountered who Jesus was, he was impacted in such a way where he made a choice to reconcile his calling and God's vision for his life to his vocation. In verse 9, I just want to read it again. It says, Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house." You know, Jesus could have used the word change has come to this house, transformation has come to this house, but he used the word salvation, and I think that's really interesting because salvation paints a picture of someone being salvaged or restored. It paints a picture that no matter where you are on your journey, you're being brought back to your original purpose and your original condition. See, the truth is that Zacchaeus always was in the position to walk out God's greater calling. But what had yet to have happened was he hadn't reconciled his vocation with God's vision. But it's upon him encountering Jesus that reconciliation happened, and he found salvation. So, TC family, this is my heart and my hope for you, as that we wouldn't be people that are me-focused, that we wouldn't be dictated or enslaved to the bottom line, that we wouldn't be looking to how we can leverage or use people on our way to success, but we would find our success in walking out the greater calling that God has called all of us to, the greater calling to being the best version of us, the greater calling to reflect his love and his hope to a lost and hurting world, the greater calling to love God and truly love each other. See, it's love that knows no bounds. It's love that can penetrate people in the deepest, darkest nights of their soul. And it's only love that can move us forward to accomplish more than we could ever even ask for or imagine. You know, TC family, if we're gonna really make a dent in this world, in whatever sphere you find yourself in, I invite you, partner with us. Take hold of the hand or the arm next to you as we journey our faith together and we continue to love people well. We love you so much. I've so enjoyed this series all about vision. We hope that you get connected, get involved with what's happening here in the TC family. We'll see you next week.
You're indescribable in every way. You search me out, now I'm caught up in your grace. I heard my name across the ocean. You pulled me closer, the current changed. You showed me life, a new horizon, a silver lining, a brand new day. And I'm like, ooh, I can't find the words to say. And ooh, you're higher than all my ways, and Lord, it's you who opened my eyes to see and poured out your heart for me. My God, you're indescribable in every way. Search me out, now I'm caught in your grace. I just can't fathom it. Can't make sense of how your love so undeserved never ends. You give me freedom that leaves me breathless. My glimpse of heaven is life with you. Now there's no fighting this gracious rhythm. I lift my hands high and praise to you. Now every time I go, I can't find the words to say. And ooh, you're higher than all my ways, and Lord, it's you who opened my eyes to see and poured out your heart for me. My God, you're indescribable in every way. You search me out, now I'm caught up in your grace. took my place. Only Jesus, only grace. What compares, what comes close? Where you call me, I will go. You're indescribable in every way. You search me out, now I'm caught up in your grace. I just can't fathom it, I can't make sense. How your love's undeserved and never ends. You're indescribable, ooh, ooh, ooh. So indescribable, ooh, ooh, ooh. You're indescribable, ooh, ooh, ooh. So indescribable, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Well, that is it for today, guys. I'm so happy and thankful that you have decided to join us today. We have Zoom Lobby Hangout happening right now, so I would encourage you to tune in and just hang out with us there. Also, if you want to get plugged into the community, we have Connect Groups, online Connect Groups happening throughout the week, and you can find the full schedule in our website. So happy Sunday, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.